Let's talk about something that might feel familiar. That pull, that feeling, that story that seems to keep happening in your life. We're going to look at those invisible forces that shape who you let get close and who you find yourself chasing. If you keep finding yourself drawn to people who are distant, inconsistent, or just not quite there, I want you to really hear this. It is not an accident. It's not bad luck. It's not a coincidence. What you're experiencing is a pattern, and this pattern has its own quiet logic, its own set of rules. It's held in place by a kind of invisible magnetism that you might not even feel until you try to pull away. So let's start right there, the pattern's pull. The key thing to understand is this. It's not chemistry, it's familiarity. What we've been taught to call that incredible, can't live without it chemistry, well, it's often something else entirely. Something much older. You see, your nervous system has a very, very long memory. And its prime directive isn't to make you happy or to find a healthy partner. It's just drawn to what it recognizes. It pulls you toward what it already knows how to survive. So for many of us, emotionally unavailable people can feel, well, they can feel like home. They can feel like childhood. They can feel like that parent you could never quite reach, or that specific feeling of a love that you always had to earn. It's a familiar ache. So, when you're in that chase, it's so important to know you're not really chasing them. You're chasing closure for an original wound. It's this unconscious attempt to go back in time and finally rewrite an old story to get the ending your younger self always needed. And this isn't just a story in your mind. This gets into the body's logic. We're talking about your nervous system's old blueprint. Because this pattern, it lives in your cells. It's a physical, tangible thing. So you might be wondering, okay, if it's just an old pattern, why does it feel so intense? Why does the connection feel so overwhelming, so real? Well, let's break it down. What you call chemistry or a spark or butterflies, your body is actually feeling something very different. It's feeling anxiety, hypervigilance, that subtle tension of bracing for impact. Those butterflies aren't romance. They're an alarm bell. And this is why a calm, secure, steady connection can feel boring. But I want you to ask yourself, are you actually bored or are you just untriggered? Because when your whole system is wired for the highs and lows of chaos, peace can feel unnervingly quiet. Now, let's gently turn inward. Let's talk about the role you play in all of this, the parts we unconsciously perform. And please know, this isn't about blame. It is only about recognition. Think about it. Emotionally unavailable people are drawn to you for a reason. They choose you because you are the strong one. You're the deep listener, the problem solver. You are the one who knows how to carry the emotional weight for two people. You make it easy for them.
In a way, it's a perfect interlocking system. But there's another side to it, and this is the part that is often the hardest to acknowledge.
The reason this dynamic fits so perfectly is because in a much quieter, much more hidden way, you are emotionally unavailable too. Now, your kind is different. It's not through avoidance or shutting down. It's an unavailability that comes from a deep protective fear. A fear of being truly seen. A fear of being truly chosen. A fear of what would happen if you were truly vulnerable and they stayed. In a strange way, an unavailable partner is safe because they never get close enough to trigger that core fear. And this whole dynamic is often fueled by something called a fantasy bond. It's a relationship that exists more in your head than in reality. It's built on the potential of who that person could be. They give you just enough hope, just a crumb of connection, and your mind builds an entire cathedral out of it. It gives you the idea of love without the terrifying risk of real intimacy. But here is the good news. There is another way. Healing starts with the quiet choice. The choice to turn away from the familiar noise of chaos and toward an unfamiliar and maybe even uncomfortable peace. So what does this actually feel like in your body? Well, what felt familiar was unpredictable, inconsistent, unstable, something you had to earn. What actually feels safe is predictable, consistent, grounded, calm. It's an entirely different energetic frequency. And I want to be really honest with you. Peace feels different at first. First, it just feels calm, then steady, then predictable.
And then, for a little while, it might feel a little bit boring. That boredom is just your nervous system, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's not a red flag. It's the feeling of safety.
So if you take nothing else away from this, please let it be this. You do not attract these people because there is something fundamentally wrong with you. You are not broken.
You accept this kind of connection because something happened to you. Your system learned that this was what love felt like. This pattern wasn't a flaw, it was a brilliant survival strategy. This simple, powerful truth is this. You were never hard to love. You were just loving people who were not capable of receiving it. The issue was never with your love. It was just being offered in a place where it couldn't be held. And so I will leave you with this one quiet question. What might change in your life? What might become possible if you chose someone who could meet you right where you are instead of someone you have to chase?